Time now to talk some Navy football. And joining us is from the radio broadcast team of the Naval Academy, Omar Nelson. Omar, Bruce Binkowski here. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Bruce. Anytime I get to talk about Navy football, I get excited.
I know you do. And joining us is Mark Neville. Now, Omar, I did a little research on you. We, of course, have met several times, but you're a graduate of the Naval Academy. You were a running back there, had a pretty good experience in the Aloha Bowl way back in, 1996? And
Yep.
So you have been a player, and now you're a broadcaster, a longtime member of the broadcast team. So if anybody knows anything more about Navy football than Omar Nelson, we have the man right now. By the way, you can hear Navy football right here, not right here, but on ESPN 1700, our sister station.
So, Omar, welcome to the program, and here's the question I have for you. Navy right now is 3-4. We need Navy to get 6 wins. Is Navy going to get 6 wins?
I'm fairly confident Navy should get 6 wins, but I've been confident about a lot of other things before also in my life. But the schedule, we knew that the front part of the schedule was going to be very challenging for the team, and the back end wasn't going to be as challenging. But we know every week in football, any given team can win on Saturday. Sometimes we play Thursday night, but we should have an opportunity.
All right, Omar, the Midshipmen are 3-4. They just snapped a 3-game losing streak with a win over VMI. But as I look at the 3 games that they lost, Rutgers, Western Kentucky, and Air Force, I felt in watching those games they could have won all 3 of those. Do you concur, or do you think that I'm a little off base?
No, I concur fully with you. Especially the Rutgers and Western Kentucky game, they had the ball on the last drive with a chance to win the game, and they weren't able to finish, but the defense got the stops when they needed it. I think the only game where we felt they did not play at a high level was Air Force, which you don't want against a rivalry, especially when you're going for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. But besides that, the other games, they had opportunities. Ohio State, the first game of the season, wore the team down at the end, so they weren't really in it during the fourth quarter.
Tell us a little bit about Navy quarterback Keenan Reynolds. Now, he has been he's a stud. He's a great player. But when I've watched him the last couple of games, he just seems a little bit off. Now, I know he's been hurt, but he's been missing open receivers, and he doesn't seem to be making quick decisions. And in the Navy offense, that quarterback is critical.
Well, the last point you said about not making quick decisions, one thing I'll say about Keenan Reynolds, for as long as I've been around the program, he by far is the smartest football player I've ever seen from watching him play. So everyone misses throws, and, turnovers do happen. But the decision-making, that was the most surprising part, because that's something you would never expect from Keenan, and that's something we know he can correct. It's kind of, I think, when he hurt his knee, it started to affect his decision-making, and that's the thing that we have to correct. The decision-making, once that comes back, I think we'll see him operating at a high level.
You're listening to Bowl Game Radio on the Mighty 1090. I'm Bruce Binkowski along with Mark Neville, and we're talking with Omar Nelson on the broadcast team of the Naval Academy Football Network. Mr. Neville.
So, Omar, fortunately, you have a good backup quarterback. You have a young sophomore who's filled in a couple games and has got a couple wins for the Naval Academy. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to try to pronounce his name correctly.
So we were wondering the same thing.
Yeah, we just wanted you to say it first.
Now, it's when you look at it, you would think it was Tago, but the G is silent, so it's Ta-O.
Ah,
okay.
We would have mispronounced it.
We will make sure our PA announcer knows that when you come to San Diego.
Make sure you talk to his mother or the head coach first, though. Don't put it on me.
All right.
But the thing about Tao is because he was always faster than Keenan, so that's not something that should be surprising. And since he's been in the game, he's been able to come off the fullback mesh a little bit faster. And I think the speed of the option game when he's in there is different from what teams were expecting, and that's why he's had a lot of success. But it's one thing when you're the backup coming in and relief, a lot different when you're the starter, when teams kind of prepare for what you do best. So even though he's a capable backup, we know for us to be the best team possible, Keenan has to be the one running the show.
Now, we're going to hit you up on some predictions of future Navy games in just a moment. But while we're talking offense, we've been talking about the quarterback, and the running game is so important for the Navy offense. You've got a couple of stud running backs. Noah Copeland, 60 carries, over 500 yards. Chris Swain, I've been very impressed with Chris Swain, 59 carries, 414.
Easy for you to say.
I know, 414 yards. Tell us about your Navy running backs.
Chris Swain, even though he's the backup behind Noah Copeland, I go to Chris Swain first because he's by far the most talented. He can break tackles. He has better speed in the open field from the fullback position. He's the one who can get the team big plays. And for us to beat good teams, we need him on the field as much as possible. Now, the thing about Noah Copeland, who is the starting fullback, is, one, he's very solid. He's the type of player that if you need to make this block or you need to be here at this time, he won't make any mental mistakes. And we know how coaches are. Coaches will always go with the player that they're most comfortable with because, they don't want mistakes. But from a talent aspect, Chris Swain by far is the best fullback we have.
So, Omar, now you're 3-4. You have a bye week this week. You're coming off of a huge win over VMI. Does this bye week come at a good time for Coach Niumatalolo and the rest of the midshipmen?
I mean, everyone's going to say it's going to come at a good time because it gives Keenan another week to get healthy. The one thing about bye weeks is sometimes you could possibly lose your rhythm. I don't really know if it's a good or a bad time, but from a health aspect to get Keenan ready, I mean, we'll go for it. But I think if we had to play Saturday and Tahoe had to go in there, I think he would be able to come away with the win also. But, I mean, to give Keenan an extra week, I would say, okay, big picture-wise, it's at a good time.
Okay, Omar, now we're not going to ask you to say who's going to win, who's going to lose, but I'm going to put it this way. Upcoming Navy games. San Jose State, is that a winnable game for Navy?
It's a home game, and that's the one thing I think when you look at having the home field advantage, when the team has to travel so far to come into the game, I would think you could say Navy should have a very good chance of winning.
And just so you know, we have it as a win. We really want Navy to win that game.
All right, but now you have Notre Dame. This is early November. Notre Dame, obviously, everyone's writing them off. Well, yeah, they'll beat Navy, but that's also, in a sense, a home game as well, even though it's not on the field in Annapolis. Will that help?
I'm sorry. It's at FedEx, so it'll be at an NFL venue.
Yeah, but it's close to home.
Yeah, it's close to home. But one thing about the Fighting Irish, even no matter where you play, they're going to travel with so many people.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be a lot of Notre Dame fans there. And there will be more Notre Dame fans than Navy fans. I mean, that's just the way it is. They travel so well. So even though it's closer to Annapolis, it's going to have that away feeling because of how many Notre Dame fans come out for that game.
And then you have Georgia Southern, South Alabama, and Army. Obviously, those are games that Navy could win, and who knows? You could even knock off Notre Dame and come on to the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl with a 5-game winning streak.
That is possible, and I think the last 3, Navy will probably be favored. That Georgia Southern one, I'm really concerned about that. They look pretty good in the Sun Belt Conference. And then anytime you have to go on the road on Thanksgiving Day, we play the Friday after Thanksgiving in Mobile. That's going to be one that also we got to look at real close.
So if there's one thing that needs to change with Navy football for the second half of the season, what is it?
Oh, turnovers. We've had too many turnovers, and I'm not talking about, at midfield to where you might have a quick sudden change. We've had turnovers that have gone directly to points for the other team, against Ohio State, against Temple, against VMI. I mean, we're talking about scooping scores for touchdowns. We've had turnovers inside our red zone that have contributed directly to points. We've had turnovers on the other team's red zone with its ability to score points. We have to cut down on the turnovers.
Omar, one final question for you. I'm going to go back now to when you were a player. You played for the Naval Academy in the 90s, and you got to play in a bowl game. I think it was the Aloha Bowl.
Yes.
From a player's standpoint, could you tell our listening audience, hey, we are bowl guys. We promote college football bowl games. What does it mean to a player to experience a bowl week and play in a bowl game?
It's so exciting. I mean, I was listening to your pregame. Before I got on, I was listening to some advertising and the Family Fun Pack that was advertising, and I kind of chuckled because I brought my children to their first bowl game when they were old enough to enjoy the experience last year, and they are already tracking the wins because they want to come to this bowl game. They want to go to San Diego, and I probably would have to buy one of those family packs because they definitely want to go with all the activities, the excitement, and then you could just see the energy coming from not only the players, but also it's almost like a reunion with all the alumni from years past that come to the game. And it's one of those things to where it's really hard to describe, but I would say you take a normal college football game and you probably increase it, by the 10th degree because the 10th power, because you just get so many more elements to make it more exciting.
Omar, just you can always give me offer on the air, your credit card number. We'll be happy to process a family 4-pack for you right now. No, maybe later.
Maybe later.
All right. Omar Nelson from the Naval Academy broadcast team, thanks for joining us and talking Navy football. And we may be talking to you again as we get closer to the bowl game.
We expect to see you in December, Omar.
Well, I expect to be there. I was also stationed at 32nd Street in San Diego when I was serving my time, so I want to go back also and revisit some old friends.
All right. We'd love to have you. Omar Nelson from the Navy broadcast team, thanks for joining us here on Bowl Game Radio.